Hello everybody, welcome to House of the Dragon Lore. I'm so sorry that I haven't posted any episodes in a long while, but life has gotten busy for me. I changed jobs a couple times. I had some personal things come up, but now I'm getting back into it, and today I'm going to be talking about Tessarion, the Blue Queen. I'm not just sure if she'll actually be in House of the Dragon, because I don't know if Daeron will be in, I don't know if she'll be in season 1, because Daeron, who is her dragon rider, is really young in the beginning of, the Dance of the Dragons. So I don't know, maybe season 2, but maybe we'll see a baby Tessarion, or maybe the Blue Queen will be in season 1 and we'll get to see her. But I'm going to begin, so I hope you enjoy this podcast. So Tessarion was also known as the Blue Queen, and she was a dragon that was described as having wings as dark as cobalt, and claws, crest, and belly scales as bright as beaten copper. So she's going to be a very interesting color, probably one of the dragons that I'm most excited to see, actually, her in Dreamfire. She was mounted by Prince Daeron, also known as Daeron the Daring, who was one of the Greens and third son of King Viserys I and Alicent Hightower. Prince Daeron was said to be handsome and the most popular son of the three. He had the coloring of the blood of the dragon, which means that he had classic Valyrian looks, the silver gold hair, different shades of purple eyes. That was the Valyrian look. So he had the violet eyes and the pale silver hair. He was said to be courageous and clever, but also known as the gentlest of the brothers. Daeron grew up in bitter rival to Rhaenyra's sons, Lucerys and Joffrey. Daeron had claimed his dragon at the age of 6, but never took flight until later years. It was never stated when Daeron first took flight atop of Tessarion. Tessarion was the youngest dragon, like I previously said, during the Dance of the Dragons, and by 130 AC, Tessarion was 1/3 the size of Vermithor, and Vermithor was the dragon ridden by King Jaehaerys, big bronze dragon, the Bronze Fury. During the Dance of Dragons in the Reach, defeat seemed imminent to Ormond Hightower until a shadow swept across the battlefield, and a terrible roar resounded overhead. Slicing through the sound of steel on steel, a dragon had come. The dragon was Tessarion, the Blue Queen, cobalt and copper. On her back rode the youngest of Queen Alicent's 3 sons, Daeron Targaryen, 15, Lord Ormond's squire, that same gentle and soft-spoken lad who had once been milk brother to Prince Jaehaerys. The arrival of Prince Daeron and his dragon reversed the tide of battle. Afterward, as wolves and ravens fed upon the bodies of the slain, Ormond Hightower feasted Prince Daeron on Yorox and strong wine, and dubbed him a knight with the storied Valyrian longsword Vigilance, naming him Sir Daeron the Daring. The prince modestly replied, "My lord is kind to say so, but the victory belongs to Tessarion." So, of course, Daeron respected his dragon, Tessarion, and I'm sure he had a very close relationship with Tessarion, which most of the dragon riders did. The arrival of Prince Daeron and his dragon reversed the tide of battle. Afterward, as wolves and ravens fed upon the bodies of the slain, so I got a feeling that Daeron is going to be my favorite of the Greens in House of the Dragon. I can tell that his personality is going to be different than Aemon and Aegon II. And I know I'm Team Black. I'm not sure about yourself, but I think Daeron, I'll probably give him a second chance, maybe. We'll see. Rhaenyra's loyalists often fled at the first glimpse of Tessarion, afraid to face the dragon's fire in a battle. Fighting continued elsewhere in the realm as well, though those clashes were smaller than the great battle by the God's Eye. In the Reach, Lord Hightower and his ward, Prince Daeron the Daring, continued to win victories, enforcing the submission of the Rowans and Golden Grove, the Oakhearts of Old Oak, and the Lords of Shield Islands, for none dared face Tessarion, the Blue Queen. Tessarion was a warrior, so I would put Tessarion up there as one of the most powerful dragons of the younger dragons, and she was quite the warrior, and Daeron was very lucky to have her. And the dragons mirror their riders, of course, so Daeron was a warrior, and so was Tessarion. Because his nephew, Prince Maelor Targaryen, had died at Bitter Bridge, Daeron did not show mercy and had Tessarion burn the town to the ground. Targaryens do not show mercy. Enemies always pay big time, as you know from Game of Thrones. After the fall of King's Landing to Rhaenyra, Daeron was considered the biggest threat to her rule. Daeron died during the Second Battle of Tumbleton, but it is not known how he died, although there have been theories and even imposters claiming to be him. Tessarion's second rider was killed in the beginning of the Battle of Tumbleton during the dance, but there aren't any references about their interaction. Without a rider, Tessarion was still a warrior and flew up, shrieking and spitting flame, and met Adam Valerion and his dragon, Sea Smoke, in battle. The dragons rushed at each other, and at one point Tessarion vanished in the clouds, then reappearing behind Sea Smoke, breathing flames. It was said that it was more like a mating dance than a battle by onlookers. Vermithor joined the battle, ending both his life and Sea Smoke's. Tessarion survived, but in ill health, and tried to fly on 3 occasions, but failed every time. By the late afternoon of the battle, the poor thing, surviving in pain, was ordered to be killed and got 3 arrows shot into her eye, ending her suffering. That's so sad, but I am glad that she got taken out of her misery. And here is the direct quote from Fire and Blood regarding that battle. One such said afterward that the flight of Tessarion and Sea Smoke seemed more mating dance than battle. Perhaps it was. The dance ended when Vermithor rose roaring into the sky, almost 100 years old and as large as the 2 dragons put together. The bronze dragon with the great 10 wings was in a rage as he took flight, with blood smoking from a 12 wounds. Riderless, he knew not friend from foe, so he loosed his wrath on all. Spitting flame to right and left, turned savagely on any man who dared to fling a spear in his direction. One knight tried to flee before him, only to have Vermithor snatch him up in his jaws, even as his horse galloped on. Lords Piper and Deedings, seated together atop a low rise, burned with their squires, servants, and sworn shields when the bronze fury chanced to take note of them. An instant later, Sea Smoke fell upon them. Alone of the 4 dragons on the field that day, Sea Smoke had a rider. Sir Adam Valerion had come to prove his loyalty by destroying the 2 betrayers and their dragons, and here was one beneath him, attacking the men who had joined him for this fight. He must have felt duty-bound to protect them, though surely he knew in his heart that his Sea Smoke could not match the older dragon. This was no dance, but a fight to the death. Vermithor had been flying no more than 20 feet above the battle when Sea Smoke slammed into him from above, driving him shrieking into the mud. Men and boys ran in terror or were crushed as the 2 dragons rolled and tore at each other. Tails snapped and wings beat at the air, but the beasts were so entangled that neither was able to break free. Benjicott Blackwood watched the struggle from atop his horse 50 yards away. Vermithor's size and weight were too much for Sea Smoke to contend with. Lord Blackwood told Grand Maester Monken many years later, and he surely have torn the silver-grey dragon to pieces if Tessarion had not fallen from the sky at that very moment to join the fight. Who can know the heart of a dragon? Was it simple bloodlust that drove the Blue Queen to attack? Did the she-dragon come to help one of the combatants? If so, which one? Some will claim that the bond between a dragon and a dragon rider runs so deep that the beast shares his master's loves and hates. But who was the ally here, and who was the enemy? Does a riderless dragon know friend from foe? We shall never know the answers to those questions. All that history tells us is that 3 dragons fought amidst the mud and blood and smoke of Second Tumbleton. Sea Smoke was first to die, when Vermithor locked his teeth into his neck and ripped his head off. Afterward, the bronze dragon tried to take flight with his prize still in his jaws, but his tattered wings could not lift his weight. After a moment, he collapsed and died. Tessarion, the Blue Queen, lasted until sunset. Thrice she tried to regain the sky and thrice failed. By late afternoon, she seemed to be in pain, so Lord Blackwood summoned his best archer, a longbowman known as Billy Burley, who took up a position 100 yards away, beyond the range of the dying dragon fires, and sent 3 shafts into her eye as she lay helpless on the ground. Wow, so that battle at the Tumbleton, that was pretty gruesome, and I'm thinking we're going to probably get that one in the last season of House of the Dragon. It's going to be another hard one to watch, but there's a lot of battles that are going to be hard to watch for me anyways, because, of course, the dragons, I don't want to see them getting hurt. Like, I'm that way in real life with humans and animals, in that I can read about true crime or watch movies with humans getting hurt and all sorts of things, but when it comes to animals, I have to walk away. Like, I can't look at the screen. But, of course, I'm going to have to keep in mind that this is CGI, because I do want to watch all of these scenes because they're very important. But I did notice that I don't think they're using whips in House of the Dragon, or maybe just some of them will be using whips, some dragon riders, but for the most part, from what I've seen in the trailers, the dragon riders don't seem to be using whips, so I'm glad about that. They do have saddles though, which I'm not too fussy on yet, but I'll wait until we actually see the show before I have an opinion on that. If you've seen the trailer, like, the dragons are all going to be different, which is so cool, and they're going to match the colorings and stuff that they're described like in the books and Fire and Blood, which is one thing that George R.R. Martin required in order to have House of the Dragon adapted into a series. So, like, some apparently are going to be longer, different shapes, some will have beards, different kinds of horns, all different kinds of stuff. So it's going to be very interesting, and I can't wait to see, like, Dreamfire, Tessarion. Caraxes looks kind of like a worm, you know, like the blood worm, so I'm figuring they're going with that description to use, which is pretty cool. I can't wait to see, like, these action scenes and see the dragons flying and fighting and racing and, like, young children riding dragons, and it's going to be amazing. But the trailer got me so excited. I think young Rhaenyra looks great. Like, I haven't seen much of the older Rhaenyra, but she looks really cool too, and it's going to be great. But young Rhaenyra, like, I got a feeling that she's going to be one of my favorites. And Syrax, like, is such a she-dragon. She's so pretty. Like, she's like a yellowy gold color, and she has, like, kind of more, like, reptilian looks. Like, almost like a snake. Like, not as many horns and stuff. So I guess they're going with the feminine look for Syrax, which makes sense. But the scenes that we've seen so far are sick. I can't wait. So it's going to be so exciting. And of course, I'll be doing podcasts. I will probably do, like, I don't know, episode reviews, or just talk about some of the episodes. And of course, I'll still do dragon episodes as well. But I'm going to, like, expand it out into more lore and talk about more than just the dragons later to come. But this is, like, my first section of my channel, which is the dragons, of course. So I want to get that finished, and there's many more to get through. So I really want to thank you for listening and spending this time with me, and I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and I will talk to you again very soon. Bye.